Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Dave, this is Project C1 and today I'm installing an aftermarket piece. It's a temperature sensor for the engine. But before we go into that, I want to let you know that the channel has a new sponsor. It's Form 7 Performance. Form 7 Performance are a leading aftermarket company. They do parts not only for the city bugs, things like this, any car that you've got. And if they haven't got it, they can try and get it. They've got parts on catalogues over thousands and thousands of different models and different makes and things like that, all at decent competitive prices. Use the discount code shown on screen here, DABDIY, at checkout for a discount. That said, let's get into the video. So this is what the kit comes as. There's a two-part kit. That's the main part, that's the secondary part. I did buy that as a second part, so I'll come to that in a second. Essentially what this is, that's the actual sensor itself and all the wiring included. Let's open it up. One of the wires is on the floor, it's just an extension, don't worry about that. Essentially what this is, there's two parts to this. There's the power supply for the actual gauge itself, and then there's the clip, what I like to call the clip. This wire is the one that actually has the data sent to it. Essentially what happens is the sensor, this actually came part of this pack, I've already pre-installed this. The sensor clips into an extension lead, which is just male and female. One in there sends the temperature data from that sensor in the middle there. I've already installed this with a little rubber ring and a little bit of copper slip. And the reason why I've gone for that, why I bought this one separately, it's a 36mm. And the reason behind that is the one that comes with it is an 18mm, and it doesn't actually do what I want it to do. See, it's the same thing. It's made of plastic with a metal insert. It's an 22mm, and it's on the floor. It doesn't actually do what I want it to do. That basically would only go to the heater core pipes. This one actually comes from the engine, so I can use that in one of the bigger pipes that goes to the radiator. These are the ones that actually carry the temperature data that I want to see, so like what the engine temperature is before the thermostat opens, so I can confirm that the thermostat works for a start, and it will display it on this little bad boy here. Okay. I've not taken the plastic thing off yet, but we'll get to that. That is just a red 8-segment display. That is adhesive backed on the back there, and there's an extra adhesive pad and a sticker and some Scotch locks for some reason. Probably will use the Scotch locks actually, but temporarily just to make sure I can work it. But yeah, that goes into the cabin of the car. That goes in the engine bay, and there's an extension wire between the two. So let's go and get it installed. Okay, well the first thing I'm going to do is install this. This is, like I said earlier, this goes just here on this hose, the one that comes from the top radiator. There's a nice straight section there that it'll fit in quite nicely. Happy with that. A couple of Jubilee clips and a knife. Now, off camera, I did get a little bit excited, and I've already installed the data wire for it. Now, I had to drill a hole in this this little bung here. I've run the wire around the back, and it'll sit just there nicely. Now, it is going to be a little snug. Again, off camera, just to get the wire through. I've taken the dash out. You can see how to do that in this video up here, and in the description. And just down there, you'll be able to see it or not, that is where I have put the cable through, and it's going to run all the way back up to the back of the dash, and I'm hopefully, all going well, going to put it in the middle of the rev counter just there. So let's go and install the radiator hose adapter, and we'll see how far that wire stretches. If we have to, we'll just extend it a little bit. So let's get that installed. So there's been a very slight change of plan. This pipe adapter that I was showing you earlier, 36mm one, it is too big, and I'll show you why. If I can balance that somewhere. This is a cross section of pipe that I took out of the radiator. I do actually have a replacement there, just in case I balls this up. But essentially that does not work with that pipe. I got the outside measurement rather than the inside measurement, like the idiot that I am. So, goodbye. I have got a new one. I've measured the inside. It is a 28mm. Please, for the love of God, remember 28mm if you want to do this job. It's got the same 7/8 MPT thread in the middle. I think it's 7/8, might be 3/8. I don't know. And it's the correct one. That pipe does fit over the edge now. So what I'm going to do, same thing. I've got a new gasket on there. I'm going to put another dab of copper slip on there, and then that's going to get screwed into there. And that would go into the engine bay. So let's go do that. Right, so as you'll have just seen there, we've got the top radiator pipe coming just out of the top radiator into the adapter. The coolant will flow through there, touch the sensor on the inside of this pipe, and then back into the engine as normal down there. We've got the cable. I will route this cable properly in a minute, but it goes through the back of the engine, as I showed you earlier, through this grommet just here, and then into the engine bay, into the dash. So what we'll do now, we'll get this started up, we'll check for any leaks in and around this area, and we'll see if we get a temperature reading. Looking good, doesn't look like there's any leaks or anything like that, so happy with that. Let's go inside the cab and see if we get a reading. So in true British style, it started raining. Mint. So I've come inside. So what I'm going to do now is, I want to put the dial just there in the middle of the rev counter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a look at the actual dial itself. There's a bit of a gap at the back there with some wires. You know, all the wires and stuff that need to go with it. Now I reckon I'll need a big old drill bit to get that through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark up, I'm going to offer this up, I'm going to mark up roughly where that goes. Right? And it'll look kind of something a little like that, which I think looks alright. Maybe down there a little bit so it's not interfering with the scale. So I've got a red paint pen. I'm going to mark on here roughly where that wire needs to go, because what I'm going to do is send that wire behind this little black piece of plastic and down there, so it comes out underneath here and out the back, so it drops down there and then into the wiring up here. That should be alright. Now in order to do that I need to drill. Now these things are quite expensive, these rev counters. They're about 50-60 quid. I happen to have a spare one. It is a diesel, but I happen to have a spare one. I was going to put it here as a clock, but if I need to, I can use this plastic on the diesel one in case I mess this one up. So that said, let's get the paint pen out and drill it. Mega. So off camera, what I've done is I've drilled a hole for the cables to go through, and I've used the adhesive pad, stuck that down next to the voltage gauge. So all in a line, all looks nice and neat. It stands a little proud, but I can fix that with a different adhesive later on. I have poking a hole through there, the cable's come through, and it's currently sat just here. It's waiting for the dash to go back in. So that will plug into that. Where is it? That cable? Somewhere? It's in there somewhere. And under the bonnet, what I've done is run that through so it's sat at the pipe ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is pop the dash back in. You've seen me do this a couple of times now. I'm not going to show you this again. But essentially it's a screw over here, a screw just in the corner over there, a 12mm, your airbag, and 2 screws on the dash just there. So we'll get that back in. I decided to go against having it in the rev counter because I drilled through the plastic and ruined it, so I've had to get my spare one out. I don't really want to do that again. So yeah, so it's on the dash. Let's get that dashboard back in, and then we'll crack on with the temperature sensor. One thing I did forget to mention before I put the dash back in is power supply. There's a positive and a negative, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to the back of this, because that is essentially just a positive and a negative. And if you remember when I installed it, just down here somewhere there is a relay that makes this come on when it is ignition only. So same thing for that, happy with that. So I will connect those 2 wires to those 2 wires, and that'll do. Now I seem to have an electrical problem with this, and I think it's the power supply to the actual gauge itself. Now the reason why I think that's twofold. Number one, watch as I turn the key on the voltage gauge. It's briefly powered, and then there's no power supply to it. That I think is my main problem. The reason why I think it is just the power supply is because I've also had the multimeter out on the actual sensor itself in the engine bay that we've just installed, and that is producing different levels of different levels of resistance when I have the engine warm and when the engine's cold. So that tells me that's fine, and it's just a power supply to the coastal thermometer. So what I'm going to do is, off camera, I'm going to fix that problem, but for now, because I'm getting the correct readings on the multimeter, I'm going to say this works. So yeah, I think that's a really good and handy install, and I think when I go on long distances, like for example there's a Citybug Club rally coming up, knowing my engine temperature is going to be advantageous because I'll be able to predict any problems that may arise. So happy with that. So here's the test then. This I already know doesn't work. That's a faulty gauge. I'll get around to that in a bit. I've got one on order and waiting for delivery. This one should give us a reading of how the temperature is in the engine bay at the moment. So let's turn the key. 20 degrees Celsius. Lovely. So that's working lovely. So if I start that up now and let the engine warm up, which I will do in a bit, that will give us a correct reading. So I'm dead happy with that. Well, that was a relatively simple install once I got the correct parts. I did buy this on Amazon, the 36mm pipe, and the reason why I got it wrong was because the outer diameter is 36mm, so they just butt together completely like that and don't actually work. So I ended up getting a 28mm, which is the internal diameter. Really rookie error, and I'm so ashamed I made that error. And now it fits over the top of the new one, as you saw in the engine bay. It works really well. I'm really happy with that. It's a good little tool. It tells me what the temperature of the engine is before it gets to the heater matrix. By that point it's pointless. And it tells me how well the coolant performance is. It shows me how quick the engine is warming up and when I can expect to put the demisters on, that sort of thing. It also highlights me to any potential problems. When it gets over a certain amount, that's when you start thinking, hang on a minute, my coolant system isn't working quite right. So you can stop, fix the problem before your engine gets hot and seizes, which is a good thing, because I don't want to ever have to be changing an engine again. That was a 4-day ordeal, and I really don't want to repeat. Yeah, didn't enjoy that. I mean, I suppose I would now that I know what I'm doing, because that's always handy. But anyway, I'm rambling. So remember to visit all of the sponsors of the channel. So TSA Performance and Form 7 They have websites, they have Instagrams. Remember to use the discount code DABDIY at Form 7 checkout for a percentage off. The percentage amount differs depending on what products you're buying, for example. Powerflex offer a 10% discount. I will be Powerflex pushing the C1 at some point. But that's a problem for future, Dave. But you know what to do. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, usual YouTubey good stuff. Ring the bell, get notified next time I drop a video. You can follow me on Instagram down here, and if you so desired, you can buy me a coffee as well. But in the meantime, ring the bell. I'll see you in the next one.